Dude, these geese are killing me. They won't shut up. They're just like cackling and cackling and cackling and cackling. You know, it's funny you should ask me that. Rejection is kind of a thing that I've dealt with a lot. Rejection is definitely one of the most difficult things that we as humans have to deal with, and yet it's part of our everyday life. I mean, when you think about it, rejection at its very core, at its principle, is all based on a request. So the rejection generally comes from some type of request. But there's three things you got to think about when you're talking about dealing with rejection. The first one is definitely going to be emotional. There's that huge emotional component when you're dealing with rejection. A lot of times the emotions come up because it is something you've either wanted for a long time, like wanted pretty badly, or you have worked towards, or it is an emotional situation to where you have invested your own personal emotions into this request. The emotional one tends to hurt the most. It tends to screw people up. I would say that if anything is going to kick you into some sort of emotional roller coaster or make you have to deal with like emotional stress, it's definitely going to be rejection on an emotional basis. So for example, you've been pining for this guy or this girl, and you finally muster up the nerve to talk to them, and then that rejection, you know, they say no, and that rejection, dude, it's like a knife to the heart. I mean, trust me, I know what a knife to the heart feels like. But it's like a knife to the heart, and it's really, really difficult to deal with. So there's also the logical side of rejection, and that comes from two different sides. So number one, you either A, don't have what it takes to receive or to get the answer you're looking for as far as rejection goes, or the other person, the other party involved, doesn't have what it takes to fulfill what you're looking for. This is the thing that people overlook a lot. When it comes to rejection, in a logical standpoint, most people ignore this side of it. They'll take the rejection emotionally. Oh, I didn't get the job. I must have looked funny, or they didn't like the way that I dressed, and I'm just not right. Blah, blah, blah. No, you just didn't have the right skills. So what can you learn from that rejection? And then there's one more side you got to think about: social rejection. I think that social rejection can be the most detrimental, especially to kids. Kids their whole life revolves around learning from their environment. I mean, they go to school, but even that is a social environment. But those social environments, those interactions with friends, those interactions with groups and cliques, that has a strong tendency to shape who people are, at least in their early years, and that will follow them for the rest of their lives. Some people can shake it, some people can't. But, I mean, if you have a good social experience when you're young and you don't experience that kind of rejection, then it makes life a lot easier to deal with. But if you are if you're young emotionally and you're trying to deal with social rejection, that's kind of hard, because it can really shape how you believe about yourself and what you think about yourself. Which brings me ultimately to the answer to your question: how should we deal with rejection? So, there really is no straightforward answer to this question. I think that if you had to sum it up in one sentence, I guess that my favorite sentence would be: cowboy the F up and deal with it. Rejection happens to us all. Now, that's not saying that to be insensitive, but if you... Dude, how far does this guy have to back up? Seriously. If you spend too much time dwelling on the rejection itself, the fact that you got turned down for the job, the fact that the girl didn't want to be with you, the fact that maybe you didn't get in with the clique, the group of people you like don't want to hang out with you. If you spend too much time dealing with that, you miss the important lesson that comes from the rejection itself. So the lesson in the rejection is there was something missing in the equation. You didn't bring the proper whatever to the table. You didn't bring the proper emotions to the table. You didn't bring the proper appearance to the table. You didn't bring the proper attitude or skills to the table. Whatever it was, you need to look at the rejection, cut it up, dissect it. You're gonna have emotions. It's natural. It's part of being human. But you've got to start working through that and weeding that out of the picture. And then it allows you to break it down and figure out what was missing from the equation. Was it something you were missing? Was it something they were missing? Was it this guy over here making just so much noise in this truck? It's freaking ridiculous. But there's a lesson to be learned in all forms of rejection. And you need to dissect it and learn that lesson. And let me just put a word out there for any of the young people that might watch this video. Whatever is happening in high school, whatever is happening in junior high, whatever the social construct is that you're getting this rejection from, it's brief. It doesn't last long. It's not that important. You are a good human being regardless of what you were rejected for. So no matter what reason you were rejected for, I mean, like, even if you're rejected for being weird, right? Because that was my biggest thing. People rejected the shit out of me because I was weird. Whatever it is, whatever the reason that you're being rejected, feel the emotions, get the F over it, dissect it, cut it down, say what was missing from this equation, and either A, try again, or B, move on, because that might not have been for you anyway. You know, I'm not a religious person, but I do believe that the universe works in interesting ways, and it will take the things away from you that you don't need. It will give you the struggle that you need to grow, and it will make you fail in the ways that you need to fail in order to learn lessons. All right, Chris, so my question for you is, how do we deal with struggle? What can struggle do for us as human beings? How does it make us grow? And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next video. For those of you that haven't subscribed yet, please take a second to do so. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you tick the bell notification so you can get updates on when we drop new videos, whether it's this channel, my personal channel, or Chris's channel. If you haven't had an opportunity to smash that like button, now's the time to do it. Just take your thumb and put it on the button and go and push it. If you're on a computer, drag that little arrow pointy thing with the finger on it and click that like button. It really does help us out, and it helps us grow. You know, sometimes you just have to take a minute and fuck with the geese.